An app development platform that lets you build applications for Android, iOS, macOS, and Windows, and share code across these platforms. This includes traditional mobile devices like Android phones, iPhones, and Windows Mobile, and it includes desktop apps for both macOS and Windows. But it also includes other exciting device types like wearables, IoT, Xbox, and HoloLens. Now with Xamarin, you're going to write your applications in C# using Visual Studio on either Windows or Mac OS. But it's more than just the C# language. You also gain access to the .NET libraries, and these provide features and standard APIs across all the supported platforms. And we have two development strategies with Xamarin. The first is to share your business logic, and then write your UI uniquely for each platform. And this is a really powerful technique. You're able to use the exact same code for your business logic across all supported platforms, and then take advantage of the unique UI features on each platform, using native controls and the native design patterns. And this can allow you to share 70% or more of your code across Windows, iOS, and Android. And there's another option. There's also Xamarin Forms. Now, Xamarin Forms allows for even more code sharing in the form of a shared UI definition. With Xamarin Forms, you define your UI once, and then that UI definition is used to create the appropriate native controls on each platform. And we'll take a look at both approaches. So first, we'll start with Xamarin iOS and Xamarin Android. So these allow you to write iOS and Android applications in C#, leveraging all of the same features that are available to developers using Swift or Java. But you have the advantage of being able to share and reuse code between your iOS and Android applications. And this, of course, extends to Windows as well. And you can share this business logic with really actually any other C# platform. So it includes Windows UWP, includes WPF, or even ASP.NET. And you can also create your UI for each platform using the platform-specific APIs. But everything is written in C#. Now you might be wondering about API coverage. Now, can we use all of the features available to Swift developers? Can we use all those great new iOS 10 features? Well, yeah, the answer is yes, absolutely. Xamarin has 100% API coverage, but all accessible in C#. It's the exact same story on Android. 100% API coverage, and again, all available in C#. And can't forget about Windows. Windows is fantastic, of course. Microsoft already provides all of their development tools and APIs in C#. Now, when we talk about these platform-specific languages, let's look at Google, look at Android. So Google provides Android library types written in Java. And then of course Apple provides those library types written in Objective-C. Now, Xamarin provides a C# version of every one of these types. But Xamarin also exposes the platform APIs using common C# patterns. So as an example here, on Android using Java, you'd commonly see getter and setter methods. But in C#, we'd expect a property. And that's exactly what you'll use when you're writing Android applications with Xamarin. And Xamarin also offers excellent performance on each platform. For iOS, your application is fully compiled. It's a fully compiled binary, offering all the performance you'd expect of a native compiled binary on the platform. It's a native iOS application. On Android, Xamarin leverages the just-in-time compilation, so just like Java Android, and that creates an optimized executable on the executing device, on that Android device. Now, Xamarin offers native performance, and with the language advantages of C# and the runtime advantages, it can even sometimes create applications that are faster than apps written in those native languages. Now, next I want to introduce you to Xamarin Forms. So Xamarin Forms is going to give you the power to share not just your business logic, but your UI definition cross-platform as well. Now it has over 40 UI elements that you can use to create your UI. And all of these will create the appropriate native control on each platform. And we'll see how this works in just a minute. And with Xamarin Forms, you can define your UI in XAML. And this is very much like the XAML you've been using as a Windows developer. And it also supports data binding, and this lets you achieve a really strong separation between your UI and your business logic. And Xamarin Forms includes a number of really useful APIs to help with things like navigation, animation, and even dependency injection. So let's talk about that shared UI definition. So in Xamarin Forms, the controls are really just abstract models, and for each Xamarin Forms control that you define in your UI, a platform-specific control is created. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say we want to add a piece of UI that allows our user to enter text. In Xamarin Forms, we create what we call an entry control, which we can do in C#, but more likely we use XAML. And now when we run this app on iOS, the Xamarin Forms infrastructure will create a native iOS UI text field. On Android, the user would get an edit text, and on Windows, they'd be presented with a text box, all native controls for each platform. And this means that our shared Xamarin Forms UI definition is really a native UI. And it's a native UI on every platform using the appropriate native controls. You write your UI once, and you get the native look and feel on every platform that you support. And even though we're sharing our UI definition, the Xamarin Forms applications don't need to be boring. You can still make compelling, beautiful applications. And here's a great example. This is an app called Xamarin Sport, and it looks and it feels great on every platform by using strong color schemes, well-structured layouts, and tasteful use of the Xamarin Forms animation APIs. And there's something I want to share with you as well. This application is completely free and it's completely open source. When you're ready to dive into creating your Xamarin Forms applications, this is a great one to look at. And speaking of open source, did you know that Xamarin is also completely open source? Because all of Xamarin is open source, that means you can download